Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back for part 3 of this mini series on how to split test to get more clicks, more leads, and more sales. Excited for you because now we're going to take things to the next level. We talked a bit about ads and testing those, and now we want to talk about landing pages and getting more leads. So guys, if you're coming at this and you're more advanced, you may want to start paying attention. We're going to start talking about some things that might start applying to you. Although if you're super advanced, you might wait one more video. So that's up to you. I think we've got some really cool stuff in this video. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so the examples we gave you were focused on ads. Again, I talked about the fact that they apply to everything, but I wouldn't be giving you real value, true value, if I didn't give you some examples of actually using landing pages and testing for landing pages or lead capture pages. And actually talking a little bit about sales videos too, right? Testing sales videos. So with that said, I wanted to share with you, kind of how this works, right? So we talked a little bit about the fact that on a landing page, we need to, I'm going to simplify this. This is a button that just says go, right? And so when we click this button, we come to some kind of follow-up page. Maybe this is a thank you page. Maybe this is a sales page. Maybe this is a registration confirmation page, right? Or maybe this is a welcome to members area or something to that effect, right? There's all kinds of variations we could be doing here. Maybe it's a bridge video or bridge page. All right, there's a lot of things we can do here. This gets into sales funnel training, which we're not going to really get into here. All right, but the reason I bring this up is I want you to understand what we're talking about. We talk about split testing lead capture pages that we, depending on the outcome we're going for here, how we go about this might actually vary a little bit, right? Here's the thing, guys. When we're testing an ad, all right, we may track through the sale, right? We might track all the way up to the sale, and that may be important for us. A lead capture page is a little bit of a different animal there, and that is, while we may track the amount of sales we get from a lead capture page, I'll probably keep that data or have that data, but not value it as highly, because a lead capture page truly serves one purpose and one purpose only for the most part. I shouldn't say only, right? Mainly one purpose. And that is to capture leads, right? It's to really capture leads. So as opposed to an ad, which is also to qualify people, right? Because an ad, we may be charged for clicks. And if we're going to be getting charged for clicks, I only want to be sending qualified people that I'm paying for the clicks for, right? So my ad should actually be discrediting those that aren't interested. I should be qualifying those that are and getting rid of those that aren't, and only be getting those to click on that ad that are interested. So you should be sending people to your lead capture page that are qualified already. Now, I say that, but depending on what you got going on, in some cases that may not be the case, right? I've had plenty of campaigns where that's not the case. It all depends. In fact, you might be a brand marketer with a large corporation, and you say, well, shoot, my ad's only purpose is to talk about our brand and to get them to go to our homepage. And if that's the case, that's fine. Although I would encourage you to actually be, if I were in your shoes, to actually be focusing on engagement and getting them to take some kind of action, liking or whatever that may be, right? But needless to say, typically, most people are response or direct response type marketers. And in that case, we're looking to gather leads. We're looking to make sales, maybe long term, maybe immediately, but whatever that case is, the next step is going to be that lead capture page, right? Capturing those leads. And in that testing, we don't care as much about the sale. A specific lead capture page may affect the sale, right? So I'm not saying discredit it, but it's not as important because we should be dealing with qualified people at this point. And remember, a lead is long-term too. Now, we care about the quality of those leads though. So make sure you understand what I'm saying, right? A lead is not a lead is not a lead. We could be getting a far less amount of high-quality leads versus a skew of other leads that throw off all our numbers when we're sending out autoresponder messages or broadcast email messages, and we get low open rates and things like that because we've got poor quality leads, right? So there's a lot to think about here as well, but it's a different animal. It's a different animal than ads, right? So here's what we want to talk about first of all. Let's say we come from the ad. This is our Facebook ad, right? That's our Facebook ad. And they click on a link or a button, and they come over to our lead capture page, right? So that's the next step in our funnel. Now, a lot of people use the term continuity, continuous, similarly. There's a lot of terms that I've heard out there, that really kind of sort of capture it. But they're all variations of what the true AMA standard, or not necessarily AMA, American Marketing Association, but industry standard for marketing is called scent. And what I mean here is that picture a dog, right? A dog's, walking along the path, and he'll just walk whichever way. He's searching for food or a place to take a dump. Pretty much those two things only, right? And let's say there's a road here, and there's a road that comes over here, and a road that comes over here, and over here, right? You lay a biscuit here, so he's going to come along. He's going to, actually, let me put it close to the road. All right, you lay a biscuit here, he's going to say, ooh, good. And he's going to start sniffing around here, but he found it here, so he's probably going to keep going here, right? And so let's say that you lay one here. He's going to probably pick up on that scent, and he's going to come along, and he's going to continue along this path. And then you lay one here, let him know he's going along the right route, right? And then you got another impasse here, so you put one here, and he takes this route. So next thing you know, you're directing that dog via his scent. So we actually, in marketing, use the term scent that talks about keeping the same message throughout, right? So if we've got an ad, we've got a headline here that talks to a specific audience in a specific way, right, to connect with them. Part of our job is to actually qualify those that are specific, that we're specifically talking to, right? We got a specific person in mind, an avatar, if you will. There's a separate video series I'll be doing on that, all right? So let's not get into that. But the point is, we're communicating with them directly, right? So we want to qualify those people, and we want to talk a specific language with them. So as we put that headline in that ad, for example, we come over here and we do a different headline here, they're going to leave. We're going to have a very low conversion rate regardless of what we do because our scent's bad, right? We want them to continue along the same path. They're looking for something specifically. They took action based on that something specifically. So we want to make sure we convey that back to them again so they know they're in the right spot and they continue reading, right? And they continue to pique their curiosity. So we want to make sure that we have scent at each step of the way, right? So what does this have to do with testing? Well, it has a lot to do with testing because in the landing page, the lead capture page, right, we actually want to be testing more about messaging, more about the actual copy than anything else, right? Not to say the colors don't matter and the layout doesn't matter and the font size doesn't matter and the background color doesn't matter and all those things do matter, all right, they do. But more important than any of it is the actual language you use. Now in an ad, that may not necessarily be the case, right? So I talked about in Facebook, an image is the most important trigger for an ad. So you might put an image there of some hot chick and you go to a page that has nothing to do with the hot chick, they're probably going to leave. So you start looking at your data and you're going, what the heck? I've got all these clicks but no leads. Well, there's a clue, right? If you've got a bunch of clicks and no leads, then maybe your image is too attractive, or maybe whatever's pulling them in is pulling the wrong audience in, or maybe you're not qualifying them right. So this is the thought process that you should be going through when you're doing your testing, right? You need to analyze. A part of testing is analyzing. A part of testing is applying logic. Part of testing is thinking, right? Making decisions based on that. Now, with that said, because with a lead capture page, we're going to be focusing a lot more on the language we're using than anything, right? That's what we'll start to test with here for our example. So I want to walk you through this so you can see it, right? So let's say we're testing one headline against another. So in this case, I'm not going to do an A, B, C test. We want to do an A/B test, a true A/B test. It's still a split test, right? Now, guys, here's another thing. We don't typically want to test too many versions of landing pages unless you've got a lot of traffic going to it, right? If you got a lot of traffic, that's fine. I still wouldn't test that many, at one time. I wouldn't test more than 5 or 6, even if I've got a huge number. If I don't have a lot, I might test 2 or 3. Okay? So here we're testing, let's say, the header in both of them. All right? So based on that, we're going to actually get back from our software, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. The number of visitors this time, right? And we might also get unique visitors. And that's the stat I'm really concerned with, is the uniques, right? So I'm going to say UV, and then the opt-in percentage. Right? Now, do the other things matter? Yes. I won't tell you they don't. Okay? I won't tell you that it means nothing if version A of your landing page gets 10 sales and version B gets 0. Okay? But more often than not, those statistics mean less on a lead capture page than they do elsewhere in the funnel. Okay? They mean a lot from the sales video, more than anything, from the sales page. A shopping cart page, things to that effect. And then probably next would be from like an ad, right? What type of people are we bringing in? And that really makes a big difference right from the beginning of the funnel. But when it comes to our lead capture page, there's not a whole lot we're testing here as far as statistics or data, right? So let's just say all that matters really at this point is if we got a 19% opt-in rate versus the 32%, we're golden, right? Not necessarily. Remember what I said in the first video, or the second video, I think it was, last video, right? We want to make sure we've got enough data. So that still applies here. We want to make sure we've got enough data, right? So if we've got 4 visitors and 6, I mean, that's a bad example, but, right? We don't have enough data. So we still have to make sure that applies. We still have to make sure we have enough data we're working with before we make a decision. All right? Now, once we've done that, we want to continue testing until we are sure we've got enough data that we can run with one and get rid of the rest, right? So what I would do is I was actually be utilizing a rotator. Now, even if you have like a lead pages or something like that, all right, even if you do, you're going to want to utilize a better tool. Now, part of this involves tracking, and we're not going to really get into tracking now. If you want tracking, then I would encourage you to pop over to one of my websites. I'll capitalize these letters so that it makes more sense. One of my websites, nextgenbusiness.com. All right, and there's some cool webinars that I've done on there, pure value, hours and hours of awesome information about tracking. I don't think I even at any point offer to even get somebody's lead or just because I was delivering pure value. Really good stuff on some of those webinars. I'm not saying all of them are like that, guys, so don't get me wrong, but there's some really awesome ones on the webinars tab there on tracking. So if you really want to get into tracking, there are some good webinars there, and I'm going to keep adding to that too, by the way. But with that said, and if you're watching this far in the future, you might have to dig for them because that page will continue to be added to. When it comes to rotators, there's a lot of statistics and things you can do with some of them. I've looked at a lot of them, and the one that I like in particular, and I'm going to put links for both of these below this video, guys, is called ClickMagick. I'll go ahead and provide a link for you for that. And it'll be an affiliate link because if you're going to buy something, why not buy mine? I mean, hell, I'm spending at least an hour making all these videos, right? So anyway, ClickMagick is just awesome. I love that tool because what it can do is the basic stuff, right? It can rotate different versions of a wherever you're sending that traffic to, and it can do it evenly, or it can organize them in whatever way you want. It can limit them. It can limit them by country. If you've ever done anything with solo ads or looked at solo ads or know what a solo ad is, the people that send out those solo ads typically use a tool like this, right? A solo ad, for those that don't know, is essentially you're for a one-time use, you're renting somebody else's email list, right? They're sending out an email to their list on your behalf. You provide them with the email ad copy, and they send it out. That's called a solo ad. And a lot of times what they'll do is they will actually have a tool like this where after it gets to a certain amount of clicks or whatever, then they start sending their traffic elsewhere. So they'll tend to word it generically, or there's a lot of tricks they have up their sleeves so that they can deliver accurately and on time, as well as provide value to everybody, right? So these types of tools allow you to do that, but it's really important because it allows you to do some of the more advanced stuff we're going to talk about in the next video. But the most important thing is what we're talking about here is you can actually send traffic to any one page at any one time, turn one off, add one, manipulate them, track all that data between them, make decisions based on it, give more weight to one over the other. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do here if you need to. So I would strongly encourage you to use a rotator and ideally a tool that allows you to dig more heavily into the clicks and the makeup, the chemistry of that, where they're coming from, the sources, things to that effect. The thing I like about ClickMagick is I don't have to use two tools to do that. In a lot of cases, you're going to have to use something for more advanced click tracking and more advanced rotating. ClickMagick allows me to do both. It allows you to get quite advanced with the click tracking as well as quite advanced with the rotator. I have not found another tool out there that does that. Plus, ClickMagick does some other cool things that I've not seen some of them do. Like, for example, you could serve a pop-up on any page. Really cool stuff. So we're sitting there testing and testing and testing. And then we get, we also might want to optimize the next page in the funnel. And I said that the reason I said we're testing and then stopped with that thought is I want to get into that in the video. What do we do after we get a winner? I'm gonna talk about it in the next video. So I went on a little side rant for a second, but I told you I would talk about the guys. This is not really well planned out. I'm just pouring my heart out and giving you value here. So I hope you excuse me that I'm not completely perfectly organized. I just started recording, right? So after the landing page, let's say that we don't have a bridge page or we don't have anything else, because I want to keep this somewhat short, right? Let's say we go right to a sales page. So we want to track the sales page now, right? So we also want to make sure we have proper scent there. And on the sales page, maybe we want to test video versus no video with long form sales copy or whatever, right? The main thing we are concerned about at this point, right, in the sales process on a sales page is the amount of sales we're making, right? It's a no-brainer. So that's the statistic we care most about. So what types of things would we be testing at this point, right? We're going to be testing the method we're delivering our sales presentation, right? Like I said, for example, video versus long form sales. Video tend to convert at a much higher rate these days, at the moment anyway, right? A sales video tends to do that. We can test things like at what point does our button appear in the video, right? That's a common one, and that makes a difference, right? If someone's watching a video and it just looks like a video, and then all of a sudden, right at the perfect magic moment, a button pops up that says buy now. Right as I say, go ahead and click that button below, buy that, it's a call to action at the right time. That can actually dramatically increase conversions. Now we're starting to see a little bit of a trend moving away from that, where that's available at all times, but I would still test both versions of it. Right? Both versions of it. Now, when it comes to the sales page, we don't just test the amount of sales though, because we want to continue to increase the conversions so that we can get to the sale page. If we're testing the sales page itself, or the checkout page, the shopping cart page, right? that's a little bit of a different animal. I'm not talking about that here. I'm talking about we've got a sales video, for example, that leads to a button click that they go to the checkout page, right? So we might want to test engagement, right? How long we can keep someone around, because if we can figure that out, then we know at what point they might be dropping off or we might be losing them, so we can start to figure out how we can make improvements on it, right? So what I'm talking about is if we've got a 15 or 30 minute video sales presentation, right, we want to be tracking, and that's where that tracking comes into play. So you definitely want to watch some of these tracking webinars, right? Where the tracking comes into play, because I do talk about how to track video, and you want to track it, how far along the video people are getting to. And you can test different versions of that with the amount of sales, right? So I might test 2 versions of this sales video, one's longer, one's shorter. I might test 2 versions of the same sales video where the button appears at different times, right? So these are types of things you want to test. When it comes to our actual data, right, we're testing the number of people that made it here, right? So we could say unique visitors here again, right, that made it to this page, all right? And then also, so we don't care previous to that point, right, that made it to this page, that are on this page, that then maybe click the button. So if we've got no access to an affiliate product, right, we may be selling an affiliate product and we don't control this, right? Maybe we don't control this. Or maybe we're here and this button, we then send them off to a page which we don't control. Okay? There's all kinds of variations here. Typically, I'm doing the sales video if I can, if it makes sense to do so, because I've been doing this for a while, right? So if I have no ability to put some kind of tracking pixel on the thank you page, on the I bought something, we made a sale page, right? Then, and guys, there could potentially be a shopping cart page here too, so that might be another statistic. So we might not just check the sales. We could have sales. We could have clicks, to go to the next page. We could have, shopping cart abandonment, things like that. But although we would be tracking that page separately. But if I have no control over this, if I'm sending them to a third party, then the best I can do is I can track how many people click this. Right? I can track how many people click that button, or instead of sending them, or maybe even both, instead of sending them directly to that thank you page, I can send them into an intermediary tracker page that then redirects them there, so that I'm tracking that, and I can measure those conversions. So there's a lot we can do here, guys, and it's important we measure each and every step of the way. Now, one thing you don't want to do, especially if you're just starting out, is you don't want to be testing everything at once, right? So the reason is, if we've got an ad and we're testing 2 or 3 versions of an ad, and on that ad we're finding that we're getting a better lead conversion versus another ad, but we're also testing 2 different versions or 3 different versions of a lead page, it could just be that we're in rotation properly with that lead page, where every time version A of the ad gets clicked, version A of the landing page is shown, whereas version B of the ad gets clicked, version B of the landing page is shown. Now, it's probably not going to happen like that, but it could, and the fact that we are showing different variations of the landing page, in other words, not the same one, could affect the lead, so we want to be careful there. And if you're experienced and you know how to address this and you know how to handle this, then it's not a big deal. But if you're just starting out, you want to be testing one at a time, right? So we want to be testing, or at least things that are contiguous, that are touching each other, right? So we would want to be testing one version of the ad, but not of the landing page, or vice versa. Whereas if we're testing a version of the ads, different versions of the ads, but not the landing pages, then we could also test the different versions of the sales page, because they're not directly touching each other. They could still have an effect on the ad, though, right? So if you're just starting out, my suggestion, if you're just starting out, test one at a time, right? Work the beginning of the funnel from the ad perspective until you get to the leads perspective, till you get to the bridge video or whatever it is to the sales and so forth. And then also email. You can test email simultaneously too, by the way. But I would encourage you to do that one step at a time. Keep tweaking it until you get to an acceptable number. Now, what are those acceptable numbers, guys? Well, when it comes to ads, it all depends on what your strategy is. You know, what is your goal? What is your objective? Are you trying to get leads? Are you trying to make sales? Are you simply trying to get people to like a page? It all depends on that, right? And it all depends on the platform as well. So I'm not going to give you specific numbers here because we're not talking about a specific platform. We're not talking about something specific. But when it comes to lead capture pages, so for the ad, it depends. For lead capture pages, I can give you some gauges, right? Some numbers here, all right? I never keep a lead capture page that is below 20%. In fact, I don't think I can remember the last time I've had a lead capture page that was below 20% opt-in rate. I just don't get them anymore because I've been doing this for a while. 30% is kind of my cutoff, actually. If I can't get a landing page, a lead capture page to 30% pretty quickly, I'm probably dropping it. All right, in all honesty, I'm probably trying something else. Usually I start there. But if I can get that, and for the industry guys, that's good. That's really good. A lot of people in the industry would be like, well, shit, if I can get 30%, that's awesome. So my standards are higher because I know it's possible, right? For me, I'm not happy with 30%. That's like the bottom, right? I'm aiming for 40, 50% minimally. And I'm going to keep going and keep testing until I get that number to 60, 70, 80% as far as my opt-in rate. Okay? So as far as, you know, sales, it all depends on what I'm selling. It all depends on how I'm selling it. It all depends on the size of the sale. You know, a $10,000 product is very different than a $20 product, right? If I'm selling a $25 product, you know, I expect the conversions of that to be pretty good if they've gotten to that point in the funnel, right? So it all depends. It really does. That's really it for video 3, guys. Boy, we've covered a heck of a lot of stuff. And in the next video, we're going to get awesome advanced for you, but we're going to keep it conceptual so it still makes sense for even you beginners. So I encourage you to go ahead and visit these sites. Visit my other site. Go ahead and follow me. There's some cool blog posts there, some cool stuff. You know, go ahead and check it out. You know, write to me there. Sign up to, you know, get on some free webinars. You know, I just love giving value, guys, if you can't see here, right? And then go ahead and click the link below this or anywhere near it, wherever it is, for ClickMagick. You know, go ahead and pick up that tool. It's an awesome tool. And I look forward to seeing you for the next video and last video in this mini series here, part 4 of how to split test to get more clicks, more leads, and more sales. We'll see you in just a moment.